You are about to hear the story of how a petty, power-drunk HOA president named Brenda decided to steal a man's property access, thinking she was above the law. She used a flimsy $20 private property sign to block the only functional gate to my $150 acre ranch. She thought she won a small victory over the newcomer. She was wrong. Dead wrong. When the dust settled, the only thing she managed to accomplish was handing me the legal right to place a devastating $20-ton concrete barrier across the main HOA road, the only access to her entire cul-de-sac legally and permanently. This is how the game-changing, once-in-a-generation ranch gate war unfolded. Before we dive into this absolute masterpiece of petty corporate revenge, take 1 second to smash that like button. If you want more stories of justice being served to entitled Karens and corrupted HOAs, hit subscribe and the notification bell right now. Let's make sure everyone sees this epic takedown. Share this video. This is the story they don't want you to hear. Let's go. My name is Alex, and I bought a beautiful, sprawling $150 a property that backed onto a meticulously manicured, pretentious little HOA called Whispering Pines. My land, the O Ranch, had 2 access points, a main driveway off the highway and a secondary utility gate that opened directly onto a small, unpaved service road owned by Whispering Pines. This service road, built decades ago to access utility boxes, ran right alongside my southern boundary and was essential for bringing in hay and heavy equipment without tearing up my main road. When I bought the property, my title company confirmed I held a perpetual recorded ingress and egress easement over that specific service road. It was ironclad. But Whispering Pines was run by Brenda, a woman whose entire identity revolved around the $4-inch-thick binder of HOA bylaws she carried everywhere. Brenda saw the ranch as an intrusion on her perfect beige neighborhood. The conflict began with a simple yet aggressively petty letter. Dear Mr. Alex, your rusty gate is an eyesore. Please paint it Whispering Pines beige within 7 days or face fines. The gate was a solid, powder-coated green. I politely responded, citing my recorded easement and noting that the HOA had no jurisdiction over my property's color scheme. That should have been the end of it, wasn't? 2 weeks later, I pulled up to my utility gate and found a heavy, steel-framed sign bolted directly in front of it, entirely blocking vehicle access. The sign, painted in the approved Whispering Pines beige and looking brand new, read in aggressive capital letters, Private Property. No access, HOA Board Directive. My easement, my legal right, was being invalidated by a $200 sign and Brenda's boundless ego. The game had officially begun. I immediately called my lawyer, but the wheels of justice turned slowly. How could a simple sign be so utterly infuriating? Because it wasn't about the sign. It was about Brenda sending a clear message. I am in control of your land. The sign was just the opening salvo in Brenda's declaration of war. My lawyer, Mr. Henderson, immediately sent a cease and desist letter, explicitly detailing the recorded easement and threatening litigation if the obstruction was unremoved within $48 hours. Brenda didn't just ignore it, she counterattacked. On the morning of the deadline, I found 3 $1,000 violation notices stapled to my main gate. One for unauthorized vehicle access on private roadway, one for unapproved gate color, and a final outrageous one for failing to maintain proper aesthetic harmony with the community. But the true escalation came the following week. I had ordered a $10-ton load of specialized alfalfa hay from my livestock, which was scheduled to be delivered through the utility gate. When the $18 wheeler arrived, Brenda was waiting. She stood directly in front of the truck, flanked by 2 bewildered-looking HOA board members, wielding her laminated bylaws binder like a shield. She screamed at the driver, citing non-existent weight restrictions and threatening to have his license revoked for trespassing. The trucker, intimidated, turned around. I lost the hay delivery and had to pay a $500 redirection fee. Brenda was drunk on petty power. The climax of her arrogance came at the next HOA board meeting. I showed up with Mr. Henderson, prepared to present the indisputable legal documentation of my easement. When I stood to speak, Brenda cut me off, declared the issue was outside the scope of board jurisdiction, and had a security guard escort me out. She then passed a new resolution, one that had not been properly noticed, to permanently landscape and secure the service road with $3-foot-tall decorative boulders, effectively turning it into an impenetrable, unusable strip of rock specifically to permanently block my access. My lawyer was furious, but Brenda had moved faster than the legal system. The boulders were scheduled to be delivered and placed in $72 hours. I was effectively landlocked on one side of my own property, losing access to a vital, legally guaranteed utility route. And all because a woman with a $4-inch binder decided her aesthetic preference superseded recorded state law. I was facing thousands in legal fees, an imminent permanent obstruction, and Brenda's smug victory lap. I felt completely helpless. Brenda's arrogance, however, contained the seed of her undoing. She was so focused on blocking my access that she forgot about the precise language of the easement. My lawyer, Mr. Henderson, a wiry man with a knack for dusty property law, spent all night poring over the $1,972 subdivision plat and the original deed grant. At 6 a.m., he called me, his voice tight with suppressed excitement. "Alex," he said, "Brenda screwed up, big time. The easement you hold isn't just for ingress and egress over the utility road. It's a grant of first right-of-way, and the language dictates that the dominant estate, that SU, has the right to maintain and utilize the shortest, most efficient route to the nearest public thoroughfare, if the originally designated access is obstructed or rendered unusable by the servient estate, that the HOA. In layman's terms, Brenda blocking my utility road access gave me the legal, documented right to claim a new route. And the nearest public thoroughfare from my boundary? It was Whispering Pines Drive itself, the HOA's main, paved and heavily used street. Henderson immediately filed an emergency motion for a declaratory judgment and a temporary injunction. The judge, an old-school stickler for property rights, looked at the undeniable evidence, my recorded easement, Brenda's unilateral signage, the evidence of her blocking the hay truck, and the HOA's imminent plans to permanently barricade the service road. He didn't just grant the injunction. He issued a scathing verbal reprimand against the HOA. The final judgment was handed down $48 later. The obstruction of my original gate was deemed illegal and a violation of my property rights. The HOA was ordered to pay all my legal fees. But the real victory, the earth-shattering one, came next. Due to the proven deliberate obstruction, I was granted the right to activate the first right-of-way clause. I was given $24 hours to select my new access route and begin securing the area. My new route? $10 foot-wide strip of land that connected my ranch boundary directly to the midpoint of Whispering Pines Drive. The $20 private property sign had just cost Brenda her neighborhood's main street. The news hit the Whispering Pines community like a freight train. Within hours of the judgment being filed, a flurry of panicked emails and frantic calls erupted. The HOA board members, realizing the monumental legal and financial disaster Brenda had unleashed, held an emergency meeting. Brenda herself called me, suddenly sweet, offering to personally paint my green gate beige if I would just reconsider. I calmly informed her that the matter was out of my hands. The judgment was final and executed. The designated time arrived. I didn't send a sign painter. I sent a construction crew. We arrived with 2 flatbed trucks, a skid steer loader, and the star of the show, a massive, prefabricated $20-foot concrete barrier, the kind used for highway construction. Under the watchful, horrified eyes of every homeowner, we quickly demolished the illegal private property sign, ripped out the shrubbery along the new access strip, and, with the precision of a military operation, dropped the massive $20-ton concrete block directly across Whispering Pines Drive at the point where my new legal easement began. We didn't block the entire road, simply installed a proper, permanent $10 foot-wide, cattle-grade metal gate secured by a combination lock only. And utility services would have the code for and anchored the entire structure with the immense concrete slab. The road was now functionally separated into 2 sections, with my gate dividing them. All traffic now had to stop, and only my vehicles or approved utility trucks could pass through the gate. The residents on the far end of the street, including Brendan, now had to drive through my new ranch access gate just to get to their mailboxes. The fallout was instantaneous and beautiful. The HOA was immediately hit with a $150,000 special assessment to cover my legal fees, and the estimated cost of relocating all their utilities, now trapped behind my new access, Brenda was forced to resign in disgrace by a petition signed by $90% of the community members within $12 hours. They didn't even wait for the next board meeting. Short-term pain was satisfying, but the long-term consequences of Brenda's actions were the true, devastating victory. The value of every home on Whispering Pines Drive plummeted overnight. Appraisers cited the new restrictive ranch access point as a major deterrent to prospective buyers. Who wants to buy a $600,000 home where you have to stop and potentially wait for a rancher-s hay truck just to leave your neighborhood? The HOA, now bankrupt from legal fees and special assessments, lost all power and effectively dissolved. The final, sweetest piece of revenge came 6 months later. My ranch was growing, and I needed additional secure storage for equipment. The old, now useless service road that Brenda had tried to block was still technically HOA property, but the HOA was defunct and couldn't maintain it. I offered the struggling residents a simple deal. I would purchase the entire abandoned service road, paying for all the necessary land transfers and liability shifts. They jumped at the chance. The final document was signed, and I took ownership of the disputed land. My first act as the new owner of the former utility road was to fence it off and post a large, professionally printed sign at the corner where Brenda's home was now located. The sign read, in large black block letters, "Private property. Nitrogen monoxide. Access trespassers will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law." It was the same sign, the exact same words she had used to block my utility gate a year prior. Only this one was legally placed on my property line, staring directly into her front window. Brenda put her house on the market a week later. It sold 6 months after that for nearly $200,000 under her asking price. The new owners, I hear, are lovely and send me Christmas cards. Justice in this case was served cold, hard, and on a $20 stun slab of concrete. Can you believe the audacity of that HOA? A small, petty sign to block legal access, and it led to the total collapse of their entire community. Let me know the most shocking moment in the comments below. Was it the $20 ton barrier? Was it Brenda's forced resignation? Or was it that final, sweet legal sign? Don't forget to smash the like button if you enjoyed this instant karma story. Hit subscribe for more HOA disasters, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a tale of justice served. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there.